I'd like to call this meeting to order. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Pat, will you please do roll call?
Yes. Ness?
Here.
Bob?
Yes.
Jim?
Here.
Dick?
Present.
Karen?
Here. Thank you. Good morning. Welcome to the special session of meeting for the Bryan Board of Public Affairs. Today is August 29th, 2025. On this agenda is to discuss the role of the Bryan Board of Public Affairs in local government. So we have been informed that on City Council's agenda that there is an ordinance to place a ballot electoral consideration and amendment to Charter of City of Bryan to dissolve the elected Board of Public Affairs. So that's pretty much what this meeting is about, is to discuss the importance of the Bryan Board of Public Affairs. So we are going to basically talk as a board, to ask questions, come up with why we think this board is important, why we do not want it to go away. But I think as a starting point to get this conversation going, so that we know as a board, so we know what we're up against, so to speak. So my first question is to you, Mayor. Why are we doing this again?
So, in fairness, I haven't spoken to the council about this yet, and I do think that some of that should come out on Tuesday night. But when you discuss government efficiency in a state in our country right now where the state and federal governments are asking us to look within our borders and see what we can maybe work without, understand the Board of Public Affairs. I understand the reason for its inception. I understand its longevity, but we are now the only city left in the state with one that is elected, not appointed. There are some villages that do have some, and a lot of them, like I just looked at Orville, because they're an AMP community, they're a city, and they have a 3-person appointed board appointed by the mayor and council, so they're not elected and they just are an advisory board, similar to our Planning and Zoning Commission, our Parks Board, those kind of things that we have in the city. So when you look at the fact that the utility has, no fault of your own, no longer providing internet and cable, so those network agreements, those complex documents, the history of internet and cable in Bryan is no longer something under your purview. You know, we're still obviously maintaining, Joe's obviously maintaining a fiber network, but outside of that, what's left is electric and water, and that is something that consistently across the state, city councils oversee. In short answer.
Mayor, the question I have is not why now, and why didn't you pursue this in the past?
Well, actually, it was pursued, I think, about 6 years ago, and I think it got a lot of back and forth confusion on what it would look like. So I contacted our city attorney. Obviously, Mark Fischel works for both of us, asked him how he would like me to proceed if this was something that I wanted to present to council, and his advice was to find another attorney that he would allow to work in case he has a conflict. So I went through that process. At the last council meeting, council appointed Bob Bomer to fill in for those things. I sent a very general version, which you see today with a little bit of edits from him, on what maybe it would look like in the city if there were no Board of Public Affairs. He drafted that. He called me Monday morning to let me know that he would have it. At that point, I felt it was important to have a conversation with the Director of Utility because it would obviously impact. I knew he would call the board. He would be able to tell his employees before someone read that in a document on Thursday. Does that answer?
No, it doesn't.
Okay.
The question I ask is, in the past, this has been raised, and now it seems to me that it's come again because there's an urgency to make this happen.
What?
And do I see a opportunity for you as a power grab here?
No, and I don't think that it's an urgency. First of all, Mr. Iyer, I serve on the executive committee for Ohio Municipal Electric Association, so I have been involved in AMP, and then on this special committee for the majority of my mayorship. So I'm very involved in your public power conversations. I work very hard on that. Quite frankly, in the past, when there have been issues on water, especially when someone up north was trying to do some work, I was the major spokesperson for that. Obviously, the board was included in that, but I brought a lot of communities together to talk against that. We filled up, I think we had 130 people in council chambers speaking against it. And then, honestly, worked with former Commissioner Davis on the Council of Governments that the county now forms to work to get monitoring across 3 states and do those things. So this isn't something that, I guess in my opinion, it's not something that council cannot do now, given the internet and cable. I don't think that it's a power grab. It's not an urgency. Council is gonna, I hope, have 3 readings on this. Obviously, I can't speak for them because they're getting presented this ordinance on Tuesday. With that being said, if it should pass, it will not go on until the May ballot. This isn't something for 2 months from now.
You mentioned in your report the fact that there will be efficiencies and cost savings. How do you identify those cost savings? Because when I look at it,
Sure.
I think the cost savings, in my estimate, would be on their average residential customer per se, myself, would be less than $1 on an annual basis. So how do you recognize that to make sense that that would happen?
I think some of this I really think I need to address with council, and you guys obviously are welcome. I think there's going to be a change in your meeting. You're welcome to attend that. But I need to be able to address this to council first.
Okay, if I could ask just maybe possibly one more question for you.
Sure.
You mentioned government efficiency or city efficiency. What else do you see under this umbrella of efficiency?
Sure, so I'm going to give you a perfect example, sorry to interrupt. So the Ohio Public Works Commission, they don't recognize VMU as an entity, they recognize the city of Bryan. So the city engineer or mayor have to apply for a lot of the water grants that come through there. So obviously we meet with Derek, that would not change. But we have to come to the Board of Public Affairs, ask for permission, then wait 2 weeks, go to council, ask for permission, write the grant. If there's a bid that goes out, we have to work collectively to make sure that timing's right because of the come to BPA for a resolution, go to council for the ordinance that we actually need to go forward. So there's sometimes some tight schedules with that, especially if there's 5 Mondays in a month and there's a 3-week gap for council to meet after the BPA's last meeting.
So is that kind of the main efficiency you're looking for? Or is there also, I mean, there's not a lot of dollars tied to this board in all seriousness. There really
Well,
isn't.
Starting in January, it will be almost $50,000 a year.
But allocated across the average residential customer,
Yeah, I
less
can
than
appreciate
$1
that.
a year.
I understand
And there's
that.
expertise here that you can't match with that $1.
Fair enough.
I'll give you an example. Power supply cost. This board, with the help of Derek, saved the city over $5 million on their supply cost. If you're looking at $45,000, $50,000, where's this experience on the city council? It's not there.
I would argue that a little bit in the fact that, I mean, city council does manage the budget and the legislative pieces for wastewater. And I know it's different than power supply, but they're capable of reading documents, they're capable of talking to the director or they're capable of having those discussions. I mean, if that is a conversation, Derek's obviously going to bring it to whatever board he has to bring it to answer those questions. Like, I understand what you're saying, but we also have a council member that's been at every meeting for the last 6 or 7 years.
But if you look at the board here we have today, granted, it's going to change.
Sure.
But we have well over 100 years of utility experience with understanding, real-time, like front lines experience. You can't have that on the city council to address these issues for the residential or the people for Bryan. So how are you going to replace this with the city council? And for
That's a
example,
question for the voters on whether they're okay with that or not. How's that?
what am I saying? That's a challenge that you're going to have to come up with. How do you replace that experience, that knowledge base, the savings that we bring? You mentioned before, 45,000, but the experience outweighs that 45,000. That's not going to be able, it's not going to be dollar for dollar. And if you look dollar for dollar, the average residential customer like myself, it's $1 annual savings.
Okay. So right now, the efficiency portion is basically the timing of resolutions and ordinances due to contracts or government supply or submitting for money and grants and stuff like that. Is
That was
basic?
one example, yes.
Okay, but there are more?
Again,
That's fine.
I should be given the opportunity to address council. It is an ordinance they
Okay.
are reviewing.
That's fine. Does anybody have any more questions before we move on? Are we okay to move on to the importance of the BPA? Okay, thank you, Mayor. Okay, so I did some brainstorming, and I hope my fellow board members did too, about how they feel that it's important to have a BPA. So I'm gonna kind of just start a couple of my thoughts, and then I would like for my fellow members to chime in. So I feel the importance of this role of BPA is that, I consider ourselves ambassadors. We see the value of living and working in a community that delivers its own utility services. We focus on meeting the needs of our community. And like Bob mentioned here, us all combined have over, 100 years of diverse experience. I work in counting, I work with budgets. Karen, Dick, and Jim were all former employees of BPA until their retirement. Bob here has a lot of experience with his past position in the Ohio Gas. So we bring a lot of utility experience to this board where we kind of understand how a utility is run, how the operations work, and see that as a very valuable level of a vast amount of knowledge, I guess. I don't know how else to word it. Does anybody have anything they'd like to say on that point? No? Okay. Another thing I kind of come up with is that, we as the BPA board, we basically oversee the utilities. We don't want to be, involved necessarily in the city side of things, in I guess I should say, the matters of the city versus the issues at the city level, So I guess, we feel based on what we have available is best suits for us versus maybe a level of the city council board or council. As a board, we don't micromanage. That's not what we're here to do. We're here to empower people like Derek, Jimmy, and everybody, John, Joe, all of these guys here back here. We empower these experienced employees to perform at their very best. We're just kind of here to give any direction and long-term plans. For example, one thing we just started working on, which is huge, is the water treatment plant. You know, I think we figured out that's going to be an 8 to 10 year process from start to finish because of all the government regulations and stuff like that. And, you know, we as a board felt that was something that couldn't wait. So that's a big thing that we're working on right now. So, I mean, we were kind of, and Karen, you can chime in here, you were pretty, I would say, use the word vocal on let's get this going now, let's not wait. Because it is such a big project and it's going to take numerous years to complete it. So that's one big one that we're currently working on. So with that said, you know, like, so we will preside and direct and assure the accountability of the utilities. So like I said, you know, we have experience in budgeting. We know what kind to look for. You guys have more experience also in budgeting because you've been on the board a long time. But you also have the knowledge of being a part of the BMU. So you kind of know more of the, what's the word I'm thinking?
Operation.
The operation, but you're the feet on the boots on the ground. We're the boots on the ground.
And just to add what Annette's saying, I firmly believe that you have to have independence between the city council and Bryan Utilities. Look at the Federal Reserve, for example. You know, since 1910, that has been separate from the political process. I think, in my mindset, that we have to have independence from the mayor and the city council so that decisions are made unpolitical, because we're not a political party here. And so I think it's very important that we maintain independence and attach that to the citizens. We don't want to have a one-party rule. Here we have a two-party rule. There's a check and balance. With the new system that they're coming up with, there is no balance. It's whatever the mayor and city council decide, period. That's done.
So I'm going, you know, you mentioned, I guess what else I would like to make a point of is that, you know, we as this board here are responsible to our ratepayers, our citizens of Bryan, and keeping the utilities at a reasonable, a reliable service, just like reliable in the slogan there, the motto, whatever you want. And then, but at the lowest cost possible. You know, that is our focus, is our ratepayers, our, you know, and so we look out for them. That is what we are here to do, plus help guide BMU as a whole and giving them direction. I see us as a partner with economic development, obviously. So, do you guys have anything that you would like to add? Please speak up.
I would just like to say that personally, I'm going to trust the voters to make the right decision, because they always have so far. I mean, I realize, you know, the Board of Public Affairs has been around for a long time, and we've been through this before. I mean, even back, most of you aren't old enough probably to remember, but I can remember, this is kind of on the topic of kind of the same, only different. The Toledo Edison petition to buy the electric utility. It went on the ballot and got voted down. And of course, then what, 5 or 6 years ago, I guess it was brought up again. I would say we probably remember as well as anybody, pretty aggressively. But it went to the voters and it got voted down. So for my part, I'm going to trust the voters.
Would you like to see the BPA board stay?
Would I? Yeah.
Dick?
I don't know where to even start, what thoughts are in my head. Number one, I think we're getting a little bit ahead of the mayor, city council. I have a lot of questions that I know the mayor and even John Betts would not be able to answer right now. If this comes to be, what's the structure of this? They're going to be, as John would remember, we talked about 5 council members and 2 appointed board members. I mean, I would like to see where this is going to go. I mean, as the mayor said, I have a lot of questions, but you haven't even addressed council yet. I don't know, we've talked about this before, we've been through this before. I'd like to hear what council's got to say. And just like Jim said, there could be 3 readings, there could be 1. They could make a decision Tuesday night to abolish the board and it's over with. I don't know, we've all been through this before. I'm not going to beat myself up over it. I have a lot of questions, but I would like to wait till council meeting
And that's fine.
and see what happens. And
I guess,
I don't want to get ahead of,
I guess this meeting was called to give ourselves a voice. Because if it were to happen to only do 1 reading instead of 3, whatever happens, it's our opportunity to say how we feel before, so that we don't just and the only phrase I can think of is sit on the sidelines. So this is our opportunity to say, we want it to stay. We take this very seriously. We don't just I guess we have a real care and concern for the community, and we want to be able to continue with this and not see it go by the wayside. And we're not out to, we're just here to state our case, basically. And I think we needed a starting point so that people can hear what we have to say and hopefully continue to have our say at this current time. Karen, do you have anything to add?
Well, I'm sure there's a plan in place, because I know you didn't just put this together over a short period of time.
We
So
did.
there's been some consideration, especially coming with a charter change. That's huge. That's been turned down multiple times over the course of decades where people wanted to change something in the charter. So you're talking about restructuring the city. That's what it comes down to. You're restructuring the city government. We are part of that government on a separate level, but still included in the charter. There was a reason for setting that up almost 100 years ago, and I still think that reason is valid. We pay attention to every detail that goes on in this utility. We don't micromanage like Annette was saying, but when it comes to making a decision, we are the umbrella here. And we focus on this. To hand this utility over to the city council. No disrespect to the city council in any way, but there's a lot of attention that needs to go into running a utility. In every aspect, in every department. And sure, we don't have communications in a sense the way it used to be, where we would give our residents the internet and cable TV, but we still have a communication department. We still have the fiber, and there's a couple other things that the communication, it's eluding me because I'm a little stressed about this, and yeah, Joe is still needed here. He's still running the communication department, so it's not like it went away 100%. Otherwise, you would have no internet or cable at your office, so without buying it elsewhere. And we don't have the competition in here that I think that could handle us as well as we do it here. So I guess what I'm saying is that we focus on what is needed for the city residents in the way of electric, water, and communications. We are forward thinking in this respect, and I think we would lose a lot of that if it went to council, because I don't think the focus would be on how do we get our renewable energy? What do we invest in? What repairs do we need to make? What monies need to be set aside to get these things done? And that could be to any transformer out here, and, our AMI system, that wouldn't probably have come about if it wouldn't be for us, and that's truly what I believe. And the AMI is going to be a great asset to the city. And that's how we have focused on cutting costs. We invest in this AMI, and it helps save everybody money. It'll soon come to everyone's homes where they can monitor their own electric and water usage, and that's helping to cut costs as well. So those are kind of things we get involved in. And I don't think that the city council is going to have a lot more time to spend investigating this and researching this and going to the meetings that are all involved in whether that's at the state level or the government level. We do the traveling too. We bring home ideas from those meetings, and we share them and consider what we can do to keep Bryan the lowest rate-paying entity in the area. We don't want to lose our electric department and go to someone like First Energy. The rates would be astronomical, and of course, the repairs take days, where we have one of the best systems around. If there is a failure, it's on it right away. Men are available 24/7. They're out there right now fixing it. We have, we are top rated in the state for that kind of stuff, and we are proud of our people. The safety awards, we're right there. We're getting them on a yearly basis. Our employees love this place. I know they don't want to see a change. As this notice came out this week, that's about all I've heard from anybody out here. They don't want to see a change. They're all against it. The fear factor that this is going to merge departments, costs are going to go to the city. We are a separate rate-based system. Your tax, we are not. My fear is that it's going to become an invisible system. The city's in a great financial situation, much better than it was with prior mayor. Every year the city cash fund is higher and higher and higher. So I don't know that there's a reason for cost efficiency if we keep seeing that happen. And I'm saying what I want to say because I'm totally against this, 100%. Yeah, I worked here, and I don't want to see anything go away. There's going to be a lot of loss, a lot of confusion, and I don't think it's going to I just feel that it's going to suffer over the next 10, 20, 30 years, and the taxpayers are going to have to pay for a lot of different things that are going to come up that aren't going to be budgeted for or planned for, because you're going to lose a lot of communication, a lot of investigation in all of the things that the people do on a daily basis to maintain. I don't think it's going to continue on like that. I just don't see how it can. These people know that we watch and we ask questions, and I think that's going to go away, because I don't think that the council understands the utility like we do. It takes a lot of education and hands-on to know how to run a utility. And I don't know, are they going to be able to spend the time to do that? Are they going to need more money to do that? Even to, are they going to say, wow, this is taking a lot more hours in my life to understand, we want to raise, and are their rates going to, is their pay going to go up again like it has with other councils in other parts of the state who have taken this on? So I've just got a lot of thoughts in my head, and it is new. This is just new to me this week. I'm sure I could put together something better to come out with, but I'm just kind of throwing out my initial thoughts here. Yeah, I don't know what the plan is, and yeah, council doesn't know what the plan is, but I'm sure they've got some idea already. And I just don't know how you're saying efficiency. We are already efficient, and we've always been efficient. We have done our share of cutting what we can, and now you're looking to cut things, and I don't think this is the direction you want to go. I think there are other ways you can cut if you want to. But what I'm seeing in your cash fund, I don't see any reason to cut. The city is doing fine. You're at least $10 million over what it was with the prior mayor. So,
Thank you for that compliment, Mrs. Ford.
well, I did compliment
I know.
you when you
I
even hit
appreciate
the $50 million mark. I came up and complimented you and said,
I'm
congratulations,
being
you're doing a
sincere
good
in
job
that,
cutting
thank you.
some things, or, maybe it's just increase in taxes. I don't know where the money is coming from.
Can't
You can answer
increase
that
tax
question.
without we can't increase tax without a ballot measure. So
There's
it's
something
not
going
taxes.
on, but, so I don't know what efficiency you're looking for, and you're not being clear with that for us today, and you gave us the reason because you want to tell council about it first. Well, we want council to understand our position too, so it won't even go to 3 readings. I'd like to see this thing turned down at the first reading, because council, as they had gone through it 6 years ago with Mr. Betts asking this question, posing it, and the voters turning it down years ago. I just don't think that it's something that we should do. And I want the council to say no. That's my stand on it. I understand somebody wants it to at least go to the voters and let them decide. That's an option too. But I think the citizens should be smart enough to say, hey, why shake the tree when it's already great? I guess that's it.
I'm going to
Step
echo what
down.
Karen's mentioned and what Jim's mentioned in a combination. I think the facts come out, the people in Bryan are going to vote not to terminate the BPA.
I feel like we're
So
getting the cart possibly, I don't know. Right now, it's just, right now, I mean, obviously, it's an agenda item on the council's agenda, and to be read, hopefully, 3 times. So I see we have 3 opportunities to continue why we are important.
May I clarify a couple things?
Sure.
And I think it's just because there's a lot of emotions here, and I understand those, and I'm sorry for those. And I do want to say to all 5 of you, I think you've done a wonderful job on this board. This is not a personal decision. When it's truly not. But when we talk about, there was an assumption made that this has been in the works for months. That's actually not true. But in honesty, there was an ordinance that was drafted 6 years ago, so there was already a very good draft there to go to an attorney. So it was a very short turnaround. I think that, you have to ask yourself a question. Do you think council is failing running the wastewater treatment plant? That is also a rate base. We also use Gary Courtney for rate studies, as do you. So that's something that they are very familiar with, one of the utilities. So that is a utility in the city that they oversee. As far as a money grab, I'm going to be very honest, that keeps coming up in conversations, and we are not legally allowed to take money from the electric department and pay for a police officer. So if there are conversations about that, like the state auditor's office is in our building right now auditing every part of our books, including the utilities. So there's no money grab there. Could there, through attrition, eventually be a merging of an engineering department? Maybe, but that's not a conversation for today, and that would be the only piece that I would see, because your engineering department is very small. We have an engineer that has stated that in the next number of years, he may want to retire. So is that the time when people are retiring, when ours is getting smaller, yours is getting smaller? Maybe we, bring your engineer in over there. Like, that's where I'm saying there could be some efficiency. But there's also, and I know on a big scale it doesn't matter, when you look at the city of Napoleon, they run their utility under their council. Do they already have AMI, do you know?
I think they're in the process.
So they're in the process as well. Like, there's certain things that their council is taking care of. I think their reliability rating is probably similar to ours. I'm just thinking of the closest AMP community that is a city, because Montpelier, Edgerton, Pioneer, they're all AMP communities, but villages. And so I just wanted to clarify too, 6 years ago, that went to council on a 3rd reading. It did not pass, so that never went to the voters. And Mr. Salisbury, if I were old enough to have voted, when Toledo Edison was coming in and trying to take over our utility, I would have absolutely voted no too. I think that the importance to Bryan of being a public power community is immeasurable. So I do hope that you all understand that. But with everything else, I just feel that council should have the ability to have this. They got it in a packet yesterday afternoon. So there's some of this that they should have the opportunity as the legislative body of the city to review this in a group, in an open meeting together. And they have not had that opportunity yet.
And I think one idea would be to have us all together and hear it all at the same time,
Well, I think
not
that's
separately.
Sure. I think honestly,
We'd
you
like
guys-
to know your plan, really.
well, the plan is to ask the question. The plan is to ask the question, Karen. I think you think there's some scheme to drop a bunch of employees, and this is an assumption based on
We
things,
don't know.
and take
You
money.
haven't shared
And
that
that
is
is not a
We don't
plan.
understand. We just don't
Yeah.
understand.
We don't.
Yeah,
It
so we need
doesn't
an
make sense.
understanding. Help us understand. What is the purpose of this?
What is the purpose, and you're going through the purpose of the board, but again, cities all across the state have found that to be an inefficient form of government, and our citizens, in my humble opinion, should have the ability to decide whether they want to be the only city left in the state of
But we're
Ohio
not-
with an elected board of public
But
officials.
we're not
We're
other
not.
cities. We're
Correct.
Bryan, Ohio.
Correct.
So we have control of our destiny.
So does every
And so-
other city with
so-
a
but we-
public power.
But we're not the same.
Okay.
Okay, and what I'm simply saying is that, give us an understanding why.
Which will be,
Tuesday night at 5:30 PM in the council chambers.
and possibly even as.
Well,
Karen.
hopefully all the meetings after that,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah, so,
And those are regular scheduled meetings, they will be on Mondays. I will also say this publicly with the timing. Obviously, this got put on the Tuesday because of the holiday.
holiday.
I am sorry for that, it was not my intention. When I talked to Derek, that was one of his major concerns. So I know he had been talking to you about whether to move your meeting for Tuesday night so that you could all come up to the council, if you were gonna keep your meeting short so that you could all come up to the council building. So I'm sure those discussions have been had, but that was obviously something that he brought to my attention that was just truly an inconvenience on timing, so I'm sorry for that too.
well, thank you. Does anybody else have anything else to say?
I would just say, I think, after listening to all this, I think we may have gotten a little bit ahead of our skis on having this meeting today. I think this discussion would be better as a response to what the council is assumed to be doing Tuesday night. I think that would be the best way to handle this, is once we know what we're dealing with exactly. I mean, because we can sit here and question you for hours, and
Yeah, definitely.
I think we just need to sit back and listen and learn, and then respond.
I think what caught us off guard was the suddenness. Going into Labor Weekend, all of a sudden, boom, this is going to show up on Tuesday. And we're like, where'd this come from? You know, so we had to make a response to that. It would have been nice to know that this was in, you know, in
Well-
conversation.
Did you want 6 months' notice? I mean, I didn't have 6 months' notice, I had.
No, we're not
notice
saying
anyway.
that, but how did we learn about this?
I told Derek on Monday. It was a week
And we just
before.
learned about it. But you had planned for this beforehand.
When did you first talk to the attorney?
So it would have been nice, it would have
I'm
been.
sorry, Ms. Ebo, what was that?
When did you first talk to the attorney about this possibility?
The city attorney? Mark
County
Fischel,
attorney.
before he, probably 3 or 4 weeks ago. Yeah, it's not been I mean, because it's been a discussion before. So it wasn't,
And so now
again,
has voters.
no, it wasn't, it hasn't been voted on since I've been alive. It wasn't turned down by the voters, council decided to vote down the ordinance 6 or
On the
7
third
years
reading,
ago.
on the third
On the
reading.
third
That's right, it
reading.
was.
And that's where I get the whole, yes, council can legally have a first reading, but, and I can't speak for them, obviously, I don't do that, but it would really not be good for the public if they just did first reading on Tuesday night, we're gonna pass this and shove this onto the ballot.
But they have the option to do that.
Well, they have that option on everything, but
And we
even
don't know,
this.
we didn't know that option.
Okay, so even on the scooter ordinance, because that was obviously gonna bring a lot of discussion amongst the public, they had 3 readings on that,
This is
so
not a
when,
scooter, this is a utility.
oh, I know, it's an even bigger issue, that's what
I know,
I'm
that's
saying, like,
So
why
when
would you
we found this
assume?
out, we were like, wow, we didn't know about this. And so that's how, this is the
Yeah.
reason why we did this.
Right.
Because we were not informed.
We wanted, and I will state again, the reason behind this meeting is to make sure that everybody heard our plea on why we feel this board is important and important enough to stay. That is why we had this meeting. Period. We wanted
Yeah, I think
I think it's important that we're here today.
I don't know what the protocol is. Am I allowed to speak at this moment?
just a minute. We've been through this before. It is no secret. So with that said, I personally was concerned that there would only be one reading. That is why I wanted to have this opportunity to speak why this is important. That is the only reason for this meeting.
That's the truth.
So 6 years ago, there were also 3 readings, and that's where
We
I'd
don't
say-
know the future.
Okay,
I can appreciate that, but I would strongly encourage council to have 3 readings on this. I cannot speak for them, you are correct. But
We
again,
don't know.
in fairness,
so
they got their packets
that is
Thursday.
the point I want to make. I want at least this opportunity to have our say. So,
And you will have more opportunity to have
Exactly.
your say.
yeah,
In all fairness to council, and I think John will attest to what I'm going to say, they just got it sprung on them too.
well, however this is all coming about, that I think it's kind of a.
This is deja vu for me. And I know I guarantee to John and Betts, this is deja vu. One of my concerns is, I'm sure, John, you'll agree with me that this caused a lot of hard feelings the last time, which I think we have all gotten over. And I would really, I don't want it to be hard feelings again.
No.
There's a lot of things you can do here. You're gonna have a lot of work ahead of you. Been there, done it, did it. But I think as Jim said, I just feel we got a little premature. I think we need to wait until we hear what the mayor and city council has to say and just move forward from there.
And again, I just wanted to have our voice heard so that they have an idea when they sit down or when they have their discussion, that they already have a general idea of how we feel and bring that into their conversation. Is that fair to say, Mr. Betts? And again, it's nothing against anybody. It isn't. We want to stay, so.
I have another thing to add, if you don't mind.
Sure.
On the ordinance, it does say, the city council believes that the supervision and operation of the city would run more efficiently and effectively with less fiscal expense by operating under one elected city's council. How do they already believe that?
That was the former.
I don't have
ordinance.
that information. How is the city going to be more efficient and less fiscal expense? They already know that according to this ordinance. I don't. That's what I want to know.
Okay, well, we don't know that yet.
But we should, before it even goes for the reading, we should be informed.
But how can you ask them? They haven't met publicly on this issue. They haven't met privately. This is a little different here where it says that because that is what the last one said. When I said that I pulled up the ordinance from 6 or 7 years ago, that was it. We checked it. We did some changes on the dates for the election. It's not coming soon. It's in May if it gets on the ballot. That gives the public
Council might have known it.
plenty of time to discuss.
Yeah.
And Mayor, just that, I would have thought that you would have all this information before you made this presentation to the council.
I think it's fair that I give it to the council. How's that? It's their ordinance.
Do you have that information?
What information are you asking for?
Cost savings, efficiencies, planning, how all these changes are going to take place?
Mr. Iyer, with all due respect, we're paying you guys $12.50
No,
to sit here in
you're
a
the
room
one that-
today to talk about something that hasn't hit
You're the
council
one that
yet.
brought,
What?
they're going to bring
Okay.
this up.
Time out.
So
Time
therefore,
out.
you have to have the plan in place.
Time out,
There's,
please.
the plan is for the director of utility to come in under the supervision of the mayor and council as the department head. All of the people that work under him today would work under him tomorrow.
And the cost efficiency and savings, you have that planned out.
We don't. Okay.
It's important for us to know how
I get
things
it.
are going to be governed
Yeah,
and how it's
exactly.
going to look
I-
5
Yeah,
or
how
10
would
years
it-
from
I
now.
get it,
what are the
but-
plan changes?
We don't
We-
have all
we-
the info.
And they may or may not have it.
But they're going
they
to
will-
make
they will.
votes because they don't have all the info either. And they're going to make decisions to put this on the ballot or not. to even make an issue out of it.
You're assuming that's another
So,
first
you know, I
reading.
just don't see the reason for even going that far
Okay.
and wasting everybody's time when it's not gone before. It hasn't gone that far before, so why now?
First of all, again, it's got to go to council first. This is where it is right now. Okay? Emily, you would like to say something?
Yeah, I just have a few thoughts as I'm listening to all this. I've been a resident of Bryan for over 40 years. And my thoughts are that BP has a specific, singular focus to provide safe, reliable, and cost-effective public utilities for the ratepayers. City Council has a much broader challenge and much broader responsibility. But to Bob's point and to Jim and Dick's point, the experience on this board cannot be replaced. And the fact that you guys have all worked in the industry, you've studied the industry, you know exactly what you're talking about. And to ask somebody that's, you know, on city council to replace that, I don't think that's gonna happen. I'm not sure, Mayor Slade, why you brought an ordinance without having a prior discussion about the pros and cons of even considering it. That doesn't make sense to me. The city has already shown that they are willing to disregard the will of the people when they, and it's a small thing, but the trash collection. We decided to outsource that without considering what the people had to say. BMU was proactive when they determined that the cost effectiveness of cable and internet was no longer the way to go for the city, for BMU. They wisely divested themselves of that, and there were multiple entities that were willing to come in and fill that void. That wasn't the case with the trash collection. That's just one small example of a decision city council made against the will of the voters of this city. So I, for one, think BPA is a valuable organization and a valuable body that controls, I don't know, much more important than water and electricity for a community.
Thank you.
If I may, in that, John, do you have any input on what's about to happen, or do you?
No, I'm here to listen and learn, Dick, and not to weigh in at this point.
Yeah.
But it's been helpful. Like Annette said, I think it was valuable,
Well, thank you for coming.
information.
But I mean, do you agree with me, John, that we should just wait until Tuesday night till we hear?
Well,
I mean, I'm curious to what council has to say.
Because that's like you guys.
Yeah.
Issue.
Okay.
And I know there's a lot of concern. This could possibly get stopped Tuesday night. Council may disagree that we've been through this before. Council may agree that we don't want to do this and shoot it down the first meeting. I don't know.
That's a possibility too, so.
We got to give it a chance. We got to wait until we hear what
Yeah.
the mayor or city council have to say Tuesday night.
And Karen,
I'm going to say part of our responsibility has always been, when you get an agenda, you know what's coming up. If you have questions, you ask about it before you even go into the meeting. It's another reason for this meeting, is to find out. When we saw this agenda, or when we heard this was going to be on the agenda, we asked questions. That is our responsibility as a board,
good point.
to ask the question, not sit back and wait. I'm sorry, Dick, but if you saw something on an agenda, you'd be in here calling Derek right away or asking the superintendent what's going on, why is this on the agenda? That is our job. And we always have, and you always have, so that's my side of it. I know we don't agree on that, and that's part of a board too, to look at all sides of things and to give all of our opinions, but yeah. I'm very concerned about this. This is, to me, one of the most serious things in my life right now. Because Dad put in 35 years, 36 years here. I put in over 13 years as an employee and been on the board ever since. And I know the value that this board has to run the utility. So I'm strongly for this.
Any other thoughts? Anybody here, present, have anything more to say?
My name is Bryan Davis. Many of you I know. The only thing that I would recommend as a citizen is that if you have the capacity to acquire outside legal counsel and not utilize any counsel provided to you by the city, I would highly recommend you do so. Because as you move forward this, you're going to need to have counsel. As far as cost savings, I've been in government 20 years. The easiest way to save costs is to reduce headcount, because it is singularly your largest cost in your budget. And so if this actually takes place, some of the employees that are sitting behind us and those that are out currently working won't be part of BMU. There won't be a way in order to get the cost savings other than to reduce the headcount. So I look forward to working with you for however long we work together. Thank you.
Okay. Mayor, I want to thank you for coming. Derek, thank you for being here. Everyone, paper included, thank you for coming. I need a motion to adjourn this meeting. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Dick?
Yes.
Jim?
Yes.
Annette?
Yes.
Bob?
Yes.
Karen?
Yeah.
This meeting is adjourned.